Hello, welcome to Black Friday with Brittany Kennedy. Today is June 19th, 2020, and I'm super excited because it's also known as Juneteenth. Disappointed that we're not going to be able to participate in the parades and all of the Jubilee celebrations that we usually are able to participate in, but I think it's a great time to hone in on creating a tradition within your family unit that you can use to celebrate Juneteenth, which is, of course, as we all know, the emancipation of slavery, like officially. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Whatever you do out there to celebrate, make sure you stay safe. The pandemic is still going on. I hear that numbers are increasing pretty high. Hospitalizations are increasing again. So make sure that you are putting on your mask and wearing gloves, but also take hand sanitizer with you wherever you go. Just guys, please be safe. We are at risk the most. Black people are for this stupid virus, so make sure you're protecting yourself. For those of you guys that are new to Black Friday with Brittany Kennedy, this is a space where I like to talk about socioeconomic issues in the Black community that are too taboo to talk about. I like to talk about them. My thought process is that we will create awareness. That awareness will help us create solutions. That's my thought process. So, welcome to my lovely channel. Last week I posted a video talking about, are the protests helping us? And I got an overwhelming amount of responses, though my count was low on YouTube, which I think YouTube is bullshit. I think the count should be higher, considering that I had an overwhelming amount of responses on the groups I'm in on Facebook. Black Consciousness, to name one of them, Black Voices Empowered, which is a group that I have. So if you are not familiar with it, go check it out. Black Voices Empowered. It's a space where I know a lot of different groups really regulate what you say and what you're allowed to share, and I don't do that. Obviously, you can't put bull crap on my page, hashtag like bullshit, but definitely go check that out because I really want us to be able to have a voice and share what we think is important. I think that's an important thing. So anyways, I got an overwhelming amount of responses for my video last week, and the majority of people feel like it's helping, that the protests are actually making a difference. Of course, I had a few negative people, or maybe not negative, people that have a different viewpoint, in which they felt like it's not working. Like, we're still here, we're still stuck, we've been marching for forever, and nothing makes a difference. And I don't agree with that perspective. I think that even if we are not seeing the progress that we should have by now, and if you see my necklace keep pulling, it's because my son is down here. But anyhow, though we are not seeing the progress that we should, like we haven't progressed in society, we have not evolved as much as you would think that we would have, considering that it's been like 400 years since, like, all this ridiculous amount of oppression amongst the black, or upon the black people, not amongst but upon the black people. And yet we're not seeing that, right? We're not seeing the change that we really need. I mean, case in point, let's look at the fact that it's Jubilee, right? And you would think that it wouldn't take 155 years to make this a paid holiday. Why did it take 155 years to make this a paid holiday? To me, that is utterly ridiculous. There's no excuse for that. Before I continue and delve into the topic, which is exactly that, why has it taken so long for us to actually get a paid holiday for the emancipation of slavery? Like, 4th of July is definitely a paid holiday. Thanksgiving is a paid holiday, like the day that you actually massacred many of our people. Because the majority of us Black, African American, African people living on this soil who have roots here on this soil are not only Black of African descent, but we are also Native American. So, how is it that you made it possible to make that holiday? You made sure you guys paid yourself, but as long as you guys are not benefiting from it, I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't understand. But at the end of the day, you would think about it in this kind of manner, that if you do give us this paid holiday, I don't think you have to be black in order to get paid. Which, we should probably think about that, right? But anywho, I do want to talk about something else because Black Friday was a day initially where slaves were sold at a discount price, right? The day after Thanksgiving. And so Black Friday with Brittany Kennedy is a space where not only I talk about socioeconomic issues in the Black community, but I also give props and awareness to Black businesses, places where we can put our money, because right now that's one of the main things that we really need to focus on. It's definitely legislation, it's definitely those policies, but white people only associate power with money, and we are the majority of the spending power in America is Black people. We are the largest consumers. Our dollar circulates our pocket so quickly. From the moment that a dollar reaches a Black person's hand, it has left that Black person's hand within 6 hours. Oftentimes, not oftentimes, but almost always to somebody else who is not a person of color. So I want to celebrate a few Black businesses that we should focus on, right? We should keep our money within ourselves, because that's how we're going to gain power over these people. And it sucks that you have to think about it in that term, because we don't want to think of like trying to gain power over somebody. But when people have oppressed us, as long as they have, that's basically what kind of happens once we take away their power. So, hair care brands. Because I'm a natural girl, I decided to focus on hair care products. And I think it's where a lot of women and a lot of people spend their money anyways. So, things I didn't know. The difference between the Black owned and the not Black owned. They don't really advertise that, right? What's up with selling products to us that are not like sold by us? I'll get into that in a second. But anywho, Black owned: Camille, Mielle Organics, Alikay Naturals, Miss Jessie's, Naturalicious, Soultanicals, Uncle Funky's, Patent Beauty, Curls, Design Essentials, Honey Baby Naturals, Shea Moisture, TGIN, and Aunt Jackie's. I like Aunt Jackie's. That's actually one of the only ones I'm familiar with on that list. Not Black owned, Cantu, familiar with. African Pride, very familiar with. African Best, not aware of. Cream of Nature, I know about that. Dark and Lovely, know about that too. Do Grow, also. Dr. Miracles, Let's Jam, Mane and Tell. I know the majority of these products, actually. That should tell you something. TCB AFOG, Sulfur 8, Eco Style, Carol's Daughter, The Main Choice, all now are white owned. So, unfortunately, I did this new feature for the first time last week because I bought these amazing, cute, like MC Hammer style kind of pants in an African print for my son. And then I realized that the seller on Etsy was not a Black woman. I was kind of annoyed that she's capitalizing on us. Like, if you look at her entire little brand, it's all African print and it's cute, very cute. And she appears to have a daughter that looks mixed. So that's another whole other thing. But the fact that people are actually, white people specifically, are capitalizing on our products, on products that benefit us. Like, they know that we are going to purchase it, and yet they go and make it. Like, they're not making these. That girl ain't making those African printed pants for the white community. She's creating for the Black community. And we're sitting here putting money into our pockets off of our own fabric, our own designs. I was a little bit peeved off about that. But, you know, pants have already purchased, and I'm going to let it ride. The thing I can do from now on is to make sure I do research on any brand I decide to purchase. Find out who actually owns it, if it's Black owned or not. So, anywho, back to the topic of today. Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday. This is from The Guardian. The article is called Calls to Make Juneteenth a U.S. federal holiday Gain Momentum. Also, just so you know, all research, I put the links in the bottom, so if you want to check it out for yourself, it is all there. Juneteenth, the nickname for June 19th, 1865, the day that marked the end of slavery in the US when the last group of slaves were told they were emancipated, has long been celebrated by African Americans across the country with festivals, cookouts, and pageants. But recent weeks have shown there is a growing belief that all Americans should commemorate the day. Now, I want to point out the place where it said, the last group of slaves were told they were emancipated. So this was actually decided 2 years prior to, and it took it that long. It took 2 years for Texas, the last group of slaves, to be released because they didn't really have soldiers down there regulating that they shouldn't have slaves. So Texas wasn't really letting their slaves go. 2 years. It took 2 years from the time that a person was free for them to actually have their freedom. Now, when a person gets released from prison, you let them go, right? Now, granted, it's not a comparison because we did not do anything, right? Those that are in prison, ideally, should have committed a crime. So I'm not making that kind of comparison. I want to make that very clear. I'm just saying, the idea of holding somebody captive, right? Being in prison, being chained. Once you're let go, you're let go. You're free. So why did it take 2 years for you guys to let us go? Bitches. Anywho, calls to make Juneteenth the U.S. federal holiday have increased after the police killing of George Floyd, and the subsequent protests have forced the country to grapple with its legacy of slavery and racism. Over the past 2 decades, campaigns to get states to honor and recognize Juneteenth have led a majority of states to recognize the day as a ceremonial holiday. Hawaii, Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota are the only 4 states that have not officially recognized Juneteenth. Why? Do you guys in Hawaii not give a fuck about us? Because you're not white, most of you. So I would think that you would care about something like this, right? Like oppression of our people. South Dakota, North Dakota, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Montana, I don't know any black people from Montana or North Dakota or South Dakota at all. But anywho, Texas, where the original Emancipation Day celebrations took place, has designated Juneteenth as a state holiday, allowing most of the state employees to take a paid day off. You can take a paid day off. So that means you used your own time. Paid day off. They're not giving you a paid day, from my understanding. You actually have to use one of your paid day off. So like your sick day or a work day, you use it. If that's the way I read it, that's the way it sounds, which is pretty fucked up. Why do I have to dip into my own pocket to pay myself, ideally, or come out of... You understand? Doesn't make sense. But anywho, it was the only state to recognize Juneteenth as a state holiday until New York and Virginia announced this week they are making it a paid holiday for their employees. Private companies such as Nike, Twitter, and Lyft have made similar moves to recognize Juneteenth as a holiday, informing staff it will be a permanent paid holiday. The mayors of Portland and Philadelphia, which has been home to one of the country's largest Juneteenth celebrations, also said they are giving their city employees a paid holiday. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for finally giving us what the hell we deserve. A long time ago. We deserved that a long time ago, guys. It's been 155 years. 155 years. And it took George Floyd dying for you guys to realize that, oh, we should have kind of done this already. See, this is where the Band-Aid comes in, right? It does make a difference. I'm not saying it doesn't make a difference what they're doing. Thank you, Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York, for making that decision this past Wednesday, right? That we actually deserve that to be a paid holiday. How long have you been in office? I think you already knew that probably should have happened a long time ago, but as long as nobody's complaining, No problem, right? Nothing to fix. And that's what's wrong with us sometimes, is that we stop focusing on what really matters to us. We start to decide that, you know what, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We don't even think about it. But yet, how many of us are barbecuing without fail on July 4th? How many? And yet you didn't even get paid for your own like holiday that gave you your freedom. The last that I checked, the royals in Britain were not our kings and queens. So why are you celebrating the day that America became free from those kings and queens, that king and queen? And this is how they do it. And we don't stop to think about it, right? Because I guarantee you, there's going to be a huge group of people who are out protesting who are also going to be celebrating July 4th. Why? Because we don't really need an excuse to celebrate. Let's just celebrate it. Who gives a fuck? It's, what's that Irish holiday? I don't know. I can't even think right now. But we'll celebrate it. Any excuse to celebrate, we're celebrating it. How are you celebrating a day for your oppressors, with your oppressors? How are you actually putting money into their pockets? And we don't have our own fucking day? We get 1 month out of the year to celebrate being black. And yet we are black 365 days a year. We are discriminated against, profiled a good portion of those days. Stop celebrating holidays that do not benefit you and do not suit you. Boycott July 4th. I'll talk about that next week, so I'm not going to get that much into it. But to wrap this up here, why did it take us 155 years? I'll tell you why. We did not make it important enough to us for them to make it change. I'm going to say that again. We did not find it important enough to make them make that change. We didn't complain enough. We just let it go. That's the issue. We need to stop letting things go. I've been hearing a lot online talk about like black people are the most forgiving people. And for all intents and purposes, we kind of are. Honestly. I'm sorry, I am pro-black. I'm also mixed. My grandmother was from Germany. She fled 2 concentration camps just to be away from the Holocaust. Okay? So I feel something for both sides. But racism, I don't have, I'm not trying to flaunt that I am mixed. There's nothing to flaunt. I'm black. I'm African. My skin color speaks for itself. And that is what people see when they look at me. And that's what I see when I look at me. And I am proud of it. All of it. All of my heritage, really. But specifically, I'm proud of my skin color. And we need to start making it more important to us for them to understand that it needs to be important to them. We need to stop giving them passes for using our terminologies, right? Derogatory terminologies. We need to stop allowing white people to say nigger from time to time. And honestly, the only way we're going to do that is if we stop using it. It's not okay. It's not an okay term, in my opinion. But anyhow, please try to understand how important it is to make sure that we make our voices heard. It needs to be important to us to speak out about what's happening and what's going on in our communities. Otherwise, if we don't fight for us, they're not going to fight for us. They're not concerned about paying us any kind of holidays unless we make it a point to let them know that we need that. They should know that. They know that. But as long as nobody says nothing, hey, So anywho, keep it up, guys. Make sure we put the pressure on and keep putting the pressure on. That's way we can continue to make a difference. It's not time to let up. It's time to actually dig in. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. Like it, subscribe to it, share it. Thank you.